Welcome to Nelly Chef, where I show you homemade recipes that I've perfected over the years.
In this video, I'll show you how to make a mouth-watering braised pork belly dinner or hong shao rou. I'll show you how to get that distinct dark red color and melt in your mouth texture, plus a few side dishes that'll make this dinner truly delicious and unforgettable. Starting off with the star of the show, the pork belly. I'm using a 1.5 pound piece of pork belly. I got mine at a local Asian supermarket, but you could usually find it at most butcher shops or larger Western supermarkets. You want a piece that's as rectangular as possible and as evenly thick as you can find. Even thickness gives you that perfect bite in every piece and helps the fat render uniformly. To prep the pork belly, slice it into 1-inch wide strips with a sharp knife. You'll find it difficult to cut nicely through the pork belly with a dull knife, especially through the skin, which could lead to raggedy cuts. Then, cut each strip into 4 or 5 pieces, roughly 1 inch thick. By the end, each piece should be roughly 1 inch by 1 inch in size. From a 1.5 pound piece of pork belly, you'll usually get around 25 to 30 perfectly portioned pieces. Sometimes, even high-quality cuts of pork belly like this one have extra bits of fat or extra meat hanging off, so feel free to trim that away and use it to make lard while you cook the rest of the pork belly. Now, let's get our aromatics ready. For this step, I'll need 1 stalk of green onion cut into 2 to 3 inch segments. Next, I'll cut up a few slices of ginger, each roughly half a centimeter thick. Then, we also want a tablespoon of peppercorn. Moving over to the stove, I'm going to take a large soup pot and fill it roughly 2/3 of the way up with water. Once it starts to boil, I'll add my ginger, green onion, and peppercorn. These aromatics help eliminate any unwanted flavors from the pork belly. Next, I'll add all the pork belly pieces and let the pot come back to a boil. The reason we blanch pork belly is twofold. First, it removes impurities and excess blood, resulting in a cleaner and more refined flavor in the final dish. Second, blanching helps to tighten the meat and skin, ensuring even cooking and a better texture. You'll see this step in many Asian braising or soup recipes, like Chinese red braised pork or Vietnamese pho, where we want the main ingredient to really shine. It's also common in Korean galbatang, helping create a clear broth. After a few minutes of blanching the pork belly, you'll notice scum and impurities rising to the surface, forming a foamy layer in the pot. If we skip blanching the meat, all that gunk would end up in our delicious sauce, the same sauce you'll be pouring all over your rice. Once the water comes back up to a boil, let the pork belly blanch for 2 more minutes. Then, take the pork belly out of the pot and into a bowl to let it cool down and release any excess water. An optional step to get an even cleaner taste is to rinse the pork belly under cold water to remove any leftover scum on the surface. But make sure to pat the pork belly dry thoroughly with a paper towel afterwards if you do. Any leftover moisture can cause oil splatters during our next step. Now, let's go over the ingredients that'll give our pork belly its signature look and taste. First off, rock sugar. I'm using 2 pieces of rock sugar from a brand you could find typically in most Asian supermarkets. Rock sugar is essential not only for adding a touch of sweetness, but helping create that glossy caramelized red color. If you don't have rock sugar, you could substitute 1.5 tablespoons of brown sugar instead. The flavor will be close, though the color might be a bit darker and less vibrant. Next, I mix 2 tablespoons of regular soy sauce with 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce in a small bowl. Regular soy sauce brings the salty umami flavor, while dark soy sauce contributes color and extra depth. Then, I measure out 1 tablespoon of Shaoxing wine. This fragrant cooking wine helps deglaze the pan and adds a subtle aroma and sweet note that pairs wonderfully with the pork belly. If you don't have Shaoxing wine, 1 tablespoon of dry sherry works just fine. I'm also adding 2 star anise and a bay leaf to further elevate the dish's flavor. An optional but awesome addition to our pork belly dish is bean curd. I've soaked 100 grams of dry bean curd in warm water for around 2 hours. Bean curd doesn't have much flavor by itself, but soaks up all of the rich and savory goodness of the pork belly sauce. It becomes unbelievably tasty and tender. You could also substitute the bean curd for tofu puffs or boiled quail or chicken eggs for a similar effect. Heading back to the stove, I grab a Dutch oven or any heavy base pot that retains heat well and set the stove to medium-high. After around 20 seconds, I add my rock sugar to the Dutch oven to slowly make a nice caramelized dark brown liquid. I find that rock sugar can take forever to melt because of the uneven shape it has and all of the grooves. So here's a trick. Add 2 tablespoons of boiling water to help it dissolve faster. After a few minutes, the water will have evaporated, and you'll be left with a thick paste of melted rock sugar at the bottom of your pot. Make sure it's not burning, but just nicely dissolved and starting to caramelize. Next, you want to take your fully dried pork belly and add them all at once to the Dutch oven. Ensure that your pork belly has dried off before adding them to the pan. The moisture and oil on the pork belly combined with the hot pot will lead to hot oil popping up. If you aren't able to dry every single piece of pork belly, adding them all at once essentially covers the bottom of the Dutch oven and prevents any of the splatter from escaping the pot. Once all of your pork belly is in the Dutch oven, use a wooden spatula to stir fry the pork belly, flipping it every 15 seconds or so. I like to use the spatula to reach under the pork belly and give the whole pot a flip before letting it sit for 15 seconds, and then stirring and flipping again. Stir frying your pork belly helps evenly coat each piece in the melted rock sugar, creating that beautiful caramelization. It also allows us to give some color to the pork belly. After stir frying the pork belly for around 2 minutes or 7 to 8 flips, each piece should have that gorgeous dark hue. Next, pour in your tablespoon of Shaoxing wine, scraping the bottom to deglaze any fond. Then, add the mixed dark and regular soy sauce. Now, pour in 3 cups of water, just enough to cover the pork belly around 4/5 of the way up. Into my Dutch oven, I also toss in a few more slices of ginger, some extra stalks of green onion, the star anise, the bay leaf, and the soaked bean curd. Then, I turn the heat up to high and wait for the pot to come to a boil. Once the liquid in your Dutch oven starts boiling, put the lid on and turn the heat on your stove down to low. Set a timer for 1 hour. I find that 1 hour of cooking plus 20 minutes of reducing the sauce gives me the perfect pork belly texture. If you prefer a slightly firmer bite, cook it for only 45 minutes before reducing.
You know what's yummier than braised pork belly? Having your finances in order. Let me introduce you to the Maple Budget app, something that I've been working on for the past few months.
Maple Budget is for anyone looking for a simple way to take control of their finances. You don't need to link your bank or spend weeks figuring it out. With the Maple Budget app, you're able to input and track all of your expenses in an easy-to-use app. Just open Maple Budget, hit the plus button, pick a category like groceries, type in your purchase details and amount, and then tap Add Transaction. Boom, your transaction is right in there. At the end of the month, you'll see exactly how much you spent, where you spent it, and whether you stayed on budget. It's that easy with Maple Budget. So download Maple Budget today. This pork belly is delicious, but having your finances in order is an even sweeter treat. Now, let's get back to cooking, shall we? While your pork belly is slowly braising, you could do some cleanup, but let's also make this into a full meal. Here, I have 1 cup of jasmine rice and a rice cooker. Jasmine rice is perfect because it'll soak up all that incredible sauce. Give the rice a rinse until the water runs clear, and then let the rice cooker do its thing. And what's an Asian meal without a veggie dish? Here I have some baby Gai Lan. If you only have bok choy or another Chinese vegetable at your disposal, that works too. Just substitute it with a leafy green that could also be blanched. We want something light and refreshing that'll balance the richness of the pork belly. To prep the Gai Lan, I cut off the ends and discard them. I separate any large leaves near the bottom of the stems of the Gai Lan. Then, I put the Gai Lan in cold water to soak for around 30 minutes to remove any dirt while the pork belly finishes cooking.
1 hour later.
After 1 hour, it's time to bring everything together. Remove the lid from your Dutch oven and turn the heat back up to medium-high. Our goal is to reduce the braising liquid with the pork belly. Over the past hour, the gelatin from the pork has seeped into the sauce, so once we reduce, the sauce will become thick and sticky. Generally, this step takes around 20 minutes. While the pork belly sauce is reducing, I'll start blanching the Gai Lan. In a large pot, I bring water up to a boil before adding in my Gai Lan. I let the Gai Lan cook for around 3 to 4 minutes in the hot water before removing. Any less time and it's too crunchy, and any more and it gets a bit soggy and loses that vibrant color. After 3 to 4 minutes, remove the Gai Lan, making sure to shake off the excess water and put it on a plate. You can also strain it in a strainer if you have one on hand. Oh, looks like the rice is done. Good timing too, because our pork belly sauce should be about perfect now. You're looking for around half a cup of liquid left in the pot, thickened to the point where the fat and the sauce have come together. Another visual cue of when your pork belly is ready is when the sauce coats the bottom of the pot to about half an inch up. Of course, you could always reduce the pork belly sauce to whatever thickness you wish, but I find that having half an inch left on the bottom of the pot to be the perfect consistency. Now, let's plate up a few pieces of pork belly and set up our dinner. Ta-da! Just look at how stunning it is. Pour a little of that glossy sauce over the top and it's perfection. Voicing this over right now is making me drool so hard. The pork belly is so incredibly tender. When you put it in your mouth, it just melts. After braising it for an hour and then reducing the sauce, it has the perfect consistency. And trust me, the bean curd is amazing alongside the pork belly. You know, with this dish, it's all about that flavorful, saucy goodness. And the Gai Lan is the perfect counterbalance. A crisp, fresh green that cuts through the richness of the pork belly. It all works together beautifully. And of course, you can't forget the rice. The way it soaks up the sauce alone is reason enough for me to make this recipe every few weeks. That combo of rice and red braised sauce is a match made in heaven. I hope you enjoy this recipe and this very first episode of Nelly Shef. If you end up cooking this pork belly, please subscribe. I'll be dropping new tested recipes every 2 weeks. I really hope you enjoy this dish and find it delicious. See you next time. Cheers!